There's no sound. Okay.
The design school at IIT Bombay is well placed to tap into the research and technology strengths and come up with innovative solutions. We present to you some of our achievements ranging from creating livelihoods for bamboo craftsmen to designing electronic voting machines.
Text input in Indian languages has generally been pretty poor. India is perhaps one of the lowest per capita text input amongst all the countries in the world. So our languages receive the least of text input compared to all other languages. Swarachakra is one of the products that actually turned out to be the best amongst our evaluations for touchscreen devices. So we launched it on the Android platform. Currently, Swarachakra has more than 7.5 lakh downloads across 12 Indian languages. And it gets about 2,000 downloads a day, fresh downloads a day currently. So in most Indian languages, very often a vowel follows a consonant and it forms a different shape or a different glyph. And people struggle to put the vowel after the consonant. So what Swarachakra does is when you touch a particular consonant, it shows the chakra of vowels around that consonant. So all the user has to do is drag his finger in the direction of the desired vowel. So that's one thing it does. The other thing that it does, it shows a preview of conjuncts. Conjuncts are particularly hard for people to type in Indian languages. The user selects a conjunct for a particular consonant. That consonant appears in conjunct with all the other consonants as a preview. And then you can select that conjunct, or you also can add vowel modifier to that consonant.
We are very proud that the voting machine was done by the design school.
That we have to make it a product which is simple to operate, because it was earlier a steel box in which people used to just put votes. Now it's an electronic voting machine. Now we wanted to remove that fear of the machine first. So it was made into a simple operative box which is as simple as TV. So this was our major achievement, what we have achieved. So in that process, we redefined the security in terms of not just steel and all that, but in terms of visibility, where we lock each part and where we seal each part in front of everybody.
And I think one of the big reasons it has stood the test of time till now, it works even now perfectly well, is because of this. People can, slowly have been able to trust the system. And of course, it gave all the advantage of having an electronic system. Like it saved time. Elections can be declared in a jiffy at the same time. Yeah, it doesn't take time to do that.
So we thought we'll just show you those little bit of video while other people join. I think we already 20 of us are there. Anil, we can start? Or we'll wait for some more time?
Yeah, give it another minute or so, minute, 2 minutes.
Sure.
And I think Rishi may start anyway before you.
Yeah.
So he may want to share his screen. So.
Yeah, I will start in a bit. Let's wait a little bit more. We have more time afterwards if we need to.
Yeah, when we hit 25 or something, Rishi, you may want to start the Bay Area discussion, and then we'll get going. I see Suresh Shenoy has joined, which is great.
Hi, Suresh.
Hello, Chakku. Hello, Anil.
I looked at the people who had decided to join, the registered numbers, and it was quite fascinating to see how many senior people have registered for this seminar.
Yeah.
Many in the high-tech industry, many software developers, and so on. So it's going to be an exciting discussion.
In fact, when I meet alumni and others, one thing has really come out very strongly that, we are really telling very little about what all we're doing back home at IIT and, how much is happening. So I think some of it, through this presentation I will be showing, but I think we have much more larger task, to handle, like the way, we were discussing with Dalal. He was mentioning specifically, how we need to really reach out, and also how to actually showcase the, good work which is happening within the IIT, as well as what we're doing, across the board to various areas, and how the alumni are performing currently, because that story somehow is not coming out very strongly. So that's a big takeaway with a lot of my meetings with wonderful alumni around Bay Area. Thanks, Anil, to make all those connections, and thanks, Suresh, for putting us through all these, interesting people. And Niharika, it was wonderful to catch up on our, karaoke event in the Bay Area. And like Rishi, thanks for inviting me. That was wonderful. It was so good to catch up across the board, from IIT Delhi to Kanpur, Roorkee. I think we had like people from everywhere, all IITs. It was so good.
So we'll start relatively soon, but I see Suresh as my contemporary, and in this karaoke event that Chakku mentioned, these young people, I was going to say young kids, like Rishi and others, they were singing old songs of our time. Can you believe that?
And I was so thrilled that I sent all the videos with the songs to my brother, who's a big fan of old songs. While it was going on, I was like, oh, where is it happening? I wish I was there. Yeah.
But anyway, so in the interest of respecting those people, yeah, Rishi, please go ahead.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Sorry, I cannot have it in the full screen mode. Yeah. Can you see it, or?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hello everyone. I'm Rishikesh Satwane. I'm on the board of IIT Bay Area Alumni Association. It's a non-profit organization dedicated to the professional advancement of the alumni from all of the IIT campuses who live in the Bay Area. The goal is, of course, to help the alumni as well as their families. And I am in charge of all the different clubs. And we have more than 10 clubs now. This particular one is the Career Club. It's focused on career development, as you can imagine. So this is IIT. There are about 15,000 alumni from different IITs in the Bay Area. Of course, the original 5 dominate the alumni base. But we do have
Halo LED RL series downlight is a great installation solution for new construction, remodeling, and retrofit projects.
Where is that coming from? Okay. And these are the various different clubs. The club started in 2021 with book club, followed by hiking, which is, I lead that one as well, and career and health series. And in this year, we started all these other clubs. And the cricket one kind of started, but we kind of lost momentum. It's a matter of finding the right person who is motivated to lead that club. So if you're interested in any of these clubs, reach out to me so you can join. If you have some new ideas, definitely happy to start an interest group around that, a club around that. And specifically about the Career Club, it's led by James Paul, who is hopefully here today. He is taking over the reins from me. We're still in the transition process. But the career series, as you can imagine, focuses on enhancing the career-related skills. That includes soft skills as well as your technical skills. It involves skills around getting jobs, resume, all that, how to network, and as well as mentorship, anything related to jobs. So with that, welcome everyone to the IIT Bay Area's Career Series workshop. And this, thanks to IIT Bombay Heritage Foundation, San Francisco Bay Area chapter, we are co-organizing this event together. With that, I will—
You forgot IIT Startups. You forgot IIT Startups, the biggest of them all.
All right, Monishi, definitely. I will not forget that. IIT Startups as well. It was you who brought this opportunity to our doorstep, so thank you for that. So with that, I will hand it over to Monishi. Do you want to say a few words about IIT Startups, and then Anil?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. So IIT Startups started in 2018, and on opening day we had over 200 startups and a crowd of 400. We've grown very sharply in the Bay Area because we've graduated. We had 120 startups graduated, 9 got acquired, 90 got funded. So we are on a roll out here. Right now, I'm the chief evangelist, and my biggest problem is really stabilizing India, because we have a load factor of 3,000 startups over there and only about 150 mentors. Our chairman in India is a gentleman called Saurabh Srivastav, who was the founder of NASSCOM, and currently he's the chair of Indian Angel Networks. And more recently, we have a plan to build a startup bridge between India and US, which will allow startups from India to come to the US and reverse. And the Minister Piyush Goyal, who was here in September, he got very interested in the idea, and more recently there was a discussion. So he's called for IIT startups to engage in a discussion. The big problem is he wants us to include all colleges, which it's a bridge too far for us. But I'll see what Saurabh figures out as a cascading effect, how we can gradually build towards that goal. But it's moving in a big way. Officially, India has about over 70,000 startups. It's the third largest startup system in the world after US and China. And, with the kind of money that the Prime Minister is pouring in, they will go places. And IITs are the third largest unicorn builders in the world after Stanford and Harvard. That was in 2019, with Harvard only being 3 ahead of us. We had 27 unicorns from the IITs last year. So I'm presuming we are number 2, and Stanford is looking at the rearview mirror in all this IIT figure creeping up on them. We're going to get them. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, so by the way, you can go to our website, IITstartups.org. You can go to IITstartups.org. You can sign up as a mentor, as a startup, as a this thing. Our only condition is the startup must have at least one IITian as a co-founder. Other than that, the startups can be from anywhere. Thank you.
Anil, you're on mute.
Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to say a few words before we let Chakku present. I graduated from IIT in mechanical engineering, and across my department was the IDC building. So I would venture out there every once in a while and admire the beautiful artistically designed products that they had there. I went on to do masters in industrial engineering and learned human factors engineering, ergonomics, and based on the statistical information about human population, designed products for a certain percentile of population. However, I did not get any training in designing for manufacturability, usability, maintainability, and sustainability. Key to succeeding in that battle is design thinking. Design thinking is where you find an intersection of what the customers want, what technologically is feasible, and what the market will pay for. That experience had to come the hard way of trying and failing. Then you realize that this approach is useful in everything you do, from making presentations to building and selling products or services. So today we have a very special IIT faculty with us, Professor Chakravarthy, or his friends fondly call him Chakku. He was the IDC head, and you must have read his bio already, so I'm not going to repeat it here. He's extremely inspirational and passionate about design thinking, just as David Kelly of Stanford's D School. He has many successes to share with us, and it's going to be an exciting presentation from him. I'm going to, all of us will have many questions for him, but I'm going to start him off with two. How has IIT changed in its educational approach so students will have exposure to design thinking, and all students, not just a few students, but all students? And secondly, how is the IIT supporting the product innovation lifecycle from educating to ideating to designing to producing new products? Chakku, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anil and Rishi and Monishi. This is wonderful, and for putting this thing together. Let me quickly share my screen. In fact, when I was a student in 1988, it was all design thinking which was happening in the design school. And we were so glad that now it's become mainstream and we're all talking about design thinking in a big way, and we would like to use design methods in all aspects of our livelihoods and careers. So what is critical? One second, I don't want to play this video again. So what is critical in our sort of thought process is that we need to really reinvent ourselves at every stage of our transition, which is the focus which we will have today at our, from our design thinking and innovation aspects. So just to answer some questions of Anil very quickly. So I'm extremely glad to mention that I started the whole minor program in design for our undergraduate students. And, it's been a very, very popular course. So they come to our studio. And today, for example, we have a lot of students on the minor course who actually weave, who use pottery. They do pottery, they do weaving, and they take one or two courses from the design school and really feel very, very sort of happy from the experience of the right side of the brain. So it's very important that we cultivate this right side of the brain thinking, which is creativity, spatial development, and of course multiple aspects. So then of course naturally we became very popular. Straight away we got 140 students the next year, and after that we got 230 students, and we didn't know how to handle them. So there came in technology-enabled education. You all know NPTEL is a huge project at IIT Madras, a lot of funding from the government. So technology-enabled learning, where you record classes. And I must tell you, out of this class of 230, 40 would be absent. And in our design courses, we'd always say that attendance is marks. So they would come back to me the next class and say, how can we get our attendance? And we would just give them the video link to watch. And then, and I would say, I would just ask a single question. And if you answer that, you get your attendance. And to our surprise, the students who actually bunked classes and watched videos and came back did better in the exams than the students who were sitting in the class. So that's a real sort of counterintuitive, learning. And that paved the way to online learning at your own pace, and how to use rich media to make online learning much more effective. And of course, coming back to the Shenoy Innovation Studio, where all these minor students would come and actually sit in groups and work using design thinking methods. We'll go one by one on those and come up and try to solve wicked problems in the and then once we looked at problems, for example, the wicked problem would be like how to remove smell from a toilet in the other railway station. And students came up with Teflon coated urinal pans, and they installed them. And the papers were gaga about it. Wow, IIT students comes and saves the Dadar railway station smell, and then it all was in the papers, and multiple wicked problems, because in the innovation you need these challenges where you go and sit and work out and come up with solutions. And they came up with solutions for track crossing and littering, and wonderful solutions for littering in Hiranandani, which is very upmarket area. They would litter all around the dustbin. So students came up with this wonderful chute where there'll be no littering, and you just throw from far off and it goes in. So, and then of course it is, really wonderful to have these type of activities. And then Anil, this is just very recent. This is my class from last week before I just flew in over here. Now, thanks to all the alumni pressure, so IITs have started something called the HasMed. So every student in the undergraduate degree would undergo the humanities, arts, social sciences, management, entrepreneurship, and design. One of these courses, they can choose which ones to go through. And all the 1,400 would have to go through the design thinking course in the second year. So in the first year, they could choose like an elective 3 of the or 4 out of the out of the 6, and later on everybody has to go to the design thinking, and that's very, very interesting, and students are really liking it to begin with. And this is the type of strength we got, the TAs working, like sitting in groups, and fabulous initiative, but very, very taxing on us, but we're enjoying and then of course we use technology enabled learning, a lot of videos online, interactions together, students come and groups, and this is the first semester, second month, first month activity, and it's really fabulous. And they came up with so we make them go back to their childhood, so building toys out of e-waste, and we come up and tell them how e-waste is a combination of all engineering disciplines and science disciplines, and very simple basics, but really the message goes in, and students come up with wonderful toys with e-waste, which are all on display, and they really enjoy the process. So then again, Anil, you were talking about what is happening new. So now we're very fortunate that next to the IDC used to have this, estate office. So the estate office is broken down now, and we have this wonderful large building. So this building is the Rahul Bajaj Technology Innovation Building. So where, we are housing the design school in the bottom 3 floors. The Dean R&D's office, is the Industrial Research and Consultancy office in the next 2 floors, and the top floor is the incubator, top 2 floors. And our incubator is doing phenomenal. I was on the board of the incubator, and Monishi, it's been really fabulous. The type of euphoria we have on the on the startup ecosystem on the campus is phenomenal. I'm also teaching the entrepreneurship courses for students. We do proof of concept for the entrepreneurship aspects, so that's happening in a very, very big way. And of course, this is the new building now, and my BD students are so happy. They say, "Sir, it's wonderful. We just come to the first 2 floors, finish off our course. While we finish off our projects, we go to the second 2 floors, bring in technology into our projects, and we incubate on the top floor." So it's like from bottom to top, you can have the students going up and taking things forward. So here we are. So now we'll quickly run through some of the interesting projects. A lot to share. Our alumni is across all aspects, and even the design alumni is now slowly shaping up in a very, very good way. And I would like to quickly share my background of how I picked up what I am and what I am and what I do here. So I was, I finished my MDes at IIT Bombay in the year 1988, and L&T picked me up. And this is the L&T, in Powai, which is huge. And here I learned the aspects of synergy of a company. So when you do design thinking, you work with the synergy of the enterprise in which you're trying to, take things forward. And that nobody teaches. If you're in a small enterprise, you use that synergy. If you're a one-man show, if you're a startup, don't try to copy an enterprise. You're a startup enterprise. So these are the very valuable lessons I learned from L&T, and I came up with this wonderful sort of petrol pump, which could keep every international product out of the Indian market for 15 years. So crores and crores of saving. It was new design, it was compact, it was like using less material, it was sustainable. And I'm so happy to say that the technology we used in this was so good that people got correct measure of petrol. So they also thought they get, the better quality petrol because of the form of the product. So that's the beauty which the form and aesthetics of a product can do to the, to the ecosystem and to the product ecosystems. And customers felt they got good. So every other petrol pump in the country got wiped out. Everybody wanted to support a Z-line petrol pump. The company grew from 6 crores to 230 crores at that time. And, of course, I was celebrated in the company. And then something interesting happened. IIT Delhi took note of this and they invited me to be on their faculty. And as you know, once you're on the faculty, the design faculty is very happy, but the other faculty said, oh no, without PhD, we don't want you. So I'm already inside, I'm teaching a design course. And that really, fueled me to get into research. And that research was in the management domain. And I was working on the research on collaborative innovation. So learning from the L&T story, getting into collaborative innovation, the competitor came back promptly to me and said, Professor Chakravarthy, you wiped out my market. Can you design a product for me now? It was already 6 years. So we again started from scratch and built another petrol pump for this company. And that completely replaced the L&T pump within 6 years, within 10 years, you can see in a decade. Same formula, come up with insights, understand the user segment. And here the most important thing was understand contemporary technology. When you're looking at innovation, you don't see for technology which is 6 years ahead. It doesn't work. You have to use contemporary technology wherever you're going to use the supporting aspects. And then, for example, whatever said and done, the products which are there in the market are using old technology. Very clear. Because they just can't do every day, they can't innovate. Every day can't come up with new technology, right? So if the biggest mistake we people do is when they start products, they try to take technology which is 10 years ahead, and then they'll never see the light of the day because they can never bring out the product fast. So we brought out this product within 1.5 years, and the company did so well. And I was a professor in IIT already. And then, while I was in IIT Bombay, my royalty was so high that it paid for 3 times my salary as a professor in IIT. The overheads of 30% were 3 times my salary. So in fact, that is the beauty of innovation and success stories. And of course, then we went on to design products in this segment every 10 years. And now in 2006, most of the petrol stations support the multi-host dispensers. And and the sorry aspect is that none of the foreign competitors could compete with us. So they bought L&T and they bought Midco also. To be just in the market, to be in the Indian market, they purchased the whole company itself because they couldn't compete on the products. So that's an interesting story again, and that is what has happened. So I'd like to quickly share this very interesting sketch made by one of my students called Dattaramchari. This explains exactly where we stand, and if we understand where we stand in our innovation journey. From a concept to a mass production, we'll be really, really clear. So a lot of this is all online for us, and a lot of colleagues and scientists from CSR take up this, and they're very, very happy to know these, pitfalls. So we all, study these pitfalls, where you have the, first pitfall, which is the first stage of a mock-up model. In design, we don't really make prototypes to begin with. We first make mock-up models which look like prototypes, because they're very quick to build. And you understand the user aspects very fast. You don't understand the technology aspects, but that can be built slowly. But the user, the solution aspects, and what would manufacturing aspects, we are able to very quickly see them in a physical shape. I'll show you some examples a little later, where that happens very quickly. And there you can see this very interesting stage of a pole vault. So the first one is a pole vault. The skill of the team or the person is extremely critical. So see this figure now. So the first one is a pole vault. So I was the single designer in Larsen & Toubro, and I had 500 people for product development. And the product came within 6 months into the market. So now look at our startup guys. So when the startup guys come into picture, they think that they can do everything, but if they don't scale up to the level of, to the level of how do I turn my mock-up into a prototype, my prototype into a pilot. So when I do a pilot, I need to collaborate with a lot of, agencies. And from my pilot to manufacturing, mass production, I further, have to go much, much bigger. My financial, see, he's flying an aeroplane. First, he's pole vaulting the valley. Second, he's going through the hot air balloon or regular balloon, and then he's going through an aircraft. So your financial requirements, go multi times high, and then you are able to be in the market. So our startup ecosystem knows this very well. So we need to understand this aspect very closely when we take things forward. And I'll show you some examples on all these fronts. So design to prototyping, pole vault, I already mentioned, and of course prototyping, pilot production, using manufacturing and using multiple, I'm talking about the brick and mortar products, but same things happens with our software or with our large enterprise activities. So then after this research at IIT Delhi, I said I would like to go back to IIT Bombay into the design school and start innovation activity. So I moved back to IIT Bombay, and here a very interesting thing happened. In 2005, again, profusely thank the Pan IIT group and of course the IIT ecosystem, the alumni. And then I was in Chicago, and then our director said, "Oh, why don't you go to Washington DC? They have a Pan IIT meet." And I go there, and this, met, of course, Sudhakar and Suresh Shenoy were doing the, event. They were one of the organizers there, and they were so thrilled to see the work we're doing, all across the, petrol pumps I showed, and I gave them a small book. And they immediately funded this innovation studio in the country. So, and then of course we had Montek Singh Ahluwalia inaugurating our innovation studio. And we were there, and you can see those empty rooms in 2010. And from here, we immediately went into multiple activities. So student projects, wherever they are, whether they are minor student from BTech or the MDes student projects, then saw the light of the day to go into the market. So we have, professionals sitting, experienced people, working to take student projects to market. So that is the whole focus of the studio. And then, we're very, very happy that we'll show some of the national monuments which we've done, from this studio. And another very interesting thing which happened was the government was so happy. Every visitor from the ministry would come and visit this innovation studio. And finally, Sam Petroda's, eyes fell on it. And at that time, it was a Congress government in 2012. They launched the design, initiative of design innovations across the country. And the government sanctioned 230 crores to build innovation studios across 30 different different universities, and of course 90 spokes for those universities. So that's how the whole mushrooming of the innovation activity has happened. And then we got another interesting project called the Open Design School. So now we have 95,000 students on the Open Design School going through all the online case studies. So while the projects are happening at the Innovation Studio, this team of animators and rich media people would start recording, because it's so difficult in large enterprises to get information, get the finer elements of design thinking into the classes. So here, while the projects are happening, we are able to record. So that way, the teams, took things forward, and I'll show you some examples a little later. So then I'm again, why was head of the department? We started the PhD program. Now that I'm armed with a research degree from IIT Delhi, I said, practice-based research also has value. So if IIT wants research, we'll do practice-based research. And the first student of IDC, Uday, designed the rupee symbol for the country. He worked for 9 months like on this symbol. Can you believe it? Using all the design thinking tools, multiple sketches, multiple interactions with people from the labor on the campus to the, to the technologists who would do keying in of text inputs to computers. And, it was a wonderful case study. I have it on my, YouTube channel. I'll share that with you, of how, the rupee symbol was the outcome of the IIT, IIT ecosystem. And then we also, every year, I'm just showing you 3 examples. The design innovation, the studio, Shinoy Innovation Studio would go to one lab of the IIT, let it be the electrical engineering lab or the biotechnology lab, and then pick up the research from there to take it to innovation. This particular product is a fabulous nano product where, for example, the sketching, the creative aspects, the mock-up building, look at the thermocol, looks very funny, but very useful to conceive the product. And of course, the final prototype, which is for identifying if a person would get heart attack 1.5 years ahead of its time. That's unbelievable. That's what nanotechnology gives us. And then we rigged up this whole prototype, because in design thinking, you know how important mock-ups, prototypes, and working rigs are. And then this working rig actually was built just by using mobile phone parts. And then the funding agency, which was CSIR Labs, doubled the funding just by seeing the product. So when you have real products in front of you, the funding agencies are very, very happy. So they funded, it was already 80 crore project. They funded it much, much more to bring it out. Now it's a company called NanoSniff, which is again incubated in Sine, and doing a lot of interesting work in the nanotechnology area. Similarly, again, we worked with electrical engineering department to come up with, the 4G communication device for commandos. So this also, again, large team of students working together with professionals to build this equipment within 6 months. But again, like Anil was discussing with me yesterday, and Yogen Dalal also was mentioning, unfortunately, we didn't network enough to take it to the market. So once the project gets over, that's a big lacuna now, which we'll address in the end of our lecture, of how we leverage whatever is available to the outside world to see to that it can go forward for its real implementation. Then another wonderful project has been the collaborative innovation, again from the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office. This is called the mega processes. Very, very high tech, very, very research oriented. There are around 10 PhDs which came out of this project. There are around 25 MTechs who came out of this project. And of course, there were 10 to 20 project staff working. And this from the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office. Across the board, professors from IIT and Kanpur. We have doctors from Tata Memorial Hospital, and research and production professionals like Bala Subramaniam, IIT Madras alumnus, who heads the Non-Ferrous Technology Development Center. And this project is again, the video is available. I'll share with you. Prosecutors, I can't show it, but this is a mega processes, first time in the country. Now we already operated upon, after getting all the approvals and prototyping and the whole journey from prototype to 3D print to mass production to pilot production to mass production. Now already 100 of these things are built, and it's easily 1.5 times to 2 times better than the best Striker mega process available, and 1/10 the cost. So that's the beauty of bringing something contemporary. And when when we mentioned this to John Hopkins, when I was there, 5 years back over there, what's interesting is you're using new technology to develop new products. And when you use new technology, for example, scanning and building 3D models out of cloud data, it was not there 10 years back. So when you're using old technology to build processes, you cannot do what you can do with new technology. That's a very, very important lesson for all of us, that we can't really, be complacent with what we have. And for them, if they took 15 years to build that, we took only 4 years to build this. mega processes. So that's the beauty of the project. And when this and again, thanks to the principal scientific advisor's office, we could actually build this mega process. And thanks to Non-Forest Technology Development Center in Kanchanbag, it is surrounded by the defense labs, if you know, in Kanchanbag, and phenomenal. We were not getting cobalt, molybdenum, condyle, then center part. So we actually vacuum cast that there and then and build the prototype. So we need to have that type of product development strengths to take things forward. So here, we built our sort of thinking process. We said that how can we do design thinking for innovation, and how can we use the and design the innovation process. So use design thinking and design the innovation process. So that is the whole Mobius loop here, where we coined the term innovation by design, and we continue our journey of building mock-up models. In fact, Anil was mentioning earlier that I should mention that all the car companies in the country, in India, let it be Tatas, Mahindras, or the Renaults in the country, have alumni from IIT Delhi and IIT IDC, the new XUV 700, the new XUV 600, and the Tata Nexon. At least 10 to 15 of the students are from the design school, alumni are from the design school. So that's the level of preparedness we had over the years to come to the level which we are today in our country. And of course, another very, very important aspect in our journey to design thinking is design thinking makes you more creative. So we have to really focus, and you all have seen that if left alone, you're not able to get to the design thinking aspects much. But in groups, you're able to do well. But by coaching, you're able to do well. So this particular example is how we used analogies for creativity, where we took animal and insects and, for example, trees to build these safety helmets. And the company for which we were working was so shocked to see this variety that he was saying that we'd never seen such type of wonderful helmets. And to my surprise, the creative journey is so good that these helmets are more stronger than the helmets currently available. So through creativity, we're able to even achieve the strength because we're using nature analogies and indirect analogies to come up with options. And the first girl who's sitting, took inspiration from banyan tree crevices. Look at those shadow crevices in a banyan tree. And the last girl, Devina, is a very, very, celebrated designer. She's all across the world winning a lot of awards. So she took the inspiration of the zebra stripes, and look at that helmet, which is functionally much, much superior to the current helmet because it deflects the load whenever it falls on the head, and it's much, much more stronger. And of course, the other insects like anteating, insects and things which they have taken, and all these, 3 of them we sent to the company, and the company within 2 months sent them for scanning and built prototypes. And of course, one of them is being sold in the country. So it's very interesting to see these, and all these are molded through. They're not the real product; they're just mock-ups. That is, you vacuum form them, paint them, and they're ready. And then they go to the next stages. So these conceptual, creative mock-up building, working group building, and prototyping is a very, very important journey for us in the design thinking levels, because you could test your projects, you could show your products, and then you put in this costly processes of building a real prototype, building a real mold to mold the product. So those are very important lessons, which all of you know. So very interesting thing happened to me while I was teaching my, minor course with all our BTech students. They would always come and tell me, "Sir, kuch formula bana do. This is too tough, too gray." And then we said, okay. So we have the 4-month semester. So we would have very clearly the 7 concerns for innovation. So we start with the cause and we end with the connection. So within that, 2 weeks, we have one sort of concern. So we build this formula, and I call it the Chakku 7 concerns of design thinking. I'll quickly run these with small videos. Anil, I'm doing good on time. No, I have another 15 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Another 15 minutes, I'll close and the small 2-minute videos for you so that we can go through the process fast. So the first concern is the cause. See, design thinking, they all talk about empathy, right? You just empathize, nothing's going to happen. You have to empathize, and you have to stand and resolve to solve the problem. So here it is a human dimension. So that human dimension becomes so important that you become champion for the problem. And once you become a champion for the problem, the innovation journey begins. You can really, take things forward in the right way. So I call the first thing the cause, which is, empathizing with the user or the problem and actually taking a pledge to solve it. Here we actually, designed a vein tracer, which is now under technology transfer to a company, where the student went to blood banks. He was not having this in his mind to do this product. I just sent all the batch students to blood bank, and Trivikram, who was earlier working in Samsung, now I think he's another software company in Bangalore. He said that it's so painful to see the caregivers pricking 2-3 times to take out blood, and somebody's come to give blood and you're pricking, and 1 or 2 people left and said, no, I'm not coming, and they went away. So this was the trigger for the project. And of course, this project went in a long way. It won the Prime Minister's Award, the Rashtrapati, award, and the president called up to have one prototype in his hospital in Rashtrapati Bhavan. And, we did the pilot, and it's in that stage of development. It has not leaped to the mass production stage yet. And it's under technology. It's been transferred, technology transfer, but went to the wrong technology, because the guy who took the technology was actually a trader. He was a big guy, but he was bringing medical equipment from all over the world and selling in the country. He didn't have this wherewithal to take the product from a pilot to a mass production. So there also we can fail. So we have to be very, very careful with whom we partner with, how we take our projects forward, and how to move ahead. Then comes the context, the second important C. In design thinking, the context has maximum value, because how will you go into the context and understand the various aspects of the context, the pros and cons, the environment in which the product is working. You must have seen a lot of interesting projects like the baby incubator, in Chennai, which D School had worked on. How, when you are in the context, you understand the aspects of cost, aspects of the user aspects, the environmental aspects, and the production aspects. Every aspect comes into picture. So the context becomes very important. The context is taken right, we can do very well. So here, for example, I want to give this example of how we designed this wonderful CRPF water bottle for the CRPF Jawans. And even at our level, we can make huge mistakes. I was thinking, what is there in a bottle? Why do you need to ask a Jawan what he wants? And and then when we met them, we got phenomenal insights, from the context. And I'll quickly play this small video for you to see. People were actually, a lot of CRPF Jawans would actually be dehydrated, and they would actually be in very critical condition, because their errands will go long, their errands will go wrong, and they would not have water to drink, because most of the water sources were poisoned. In fact, this was a mock-up which was built, and then the biggest learning was that these were the 5 Jawans who would come, and they had 5, 10, 15, 20 years experience, and the type of valuable insights they gave. And to the everlasting credit to the commandant, he took Professor Arya from our aeronautical departments to the barracks, and he's the one who identified the problem firsthand, identified the context further, and came back to us and said, Professor Chakravarthy, let us do this project. And that's how the whole project has come up into being. And of course, we built the prototype. We again went back to them. This the commandant Mahale, again at Chembur CRPF headquarters, and full inputs. And then currently this product is waiting to get is at the prototype stage, not even at the pilot production. So we're waiting to the pilot production of that project. So now we have the third important, concern, which is the comprehension. Every project has all the concerns, but I'm just championing one for us to remember what happens. And this concern is third concern is extremely important because we get a lot of insights, but we never convert the insights into ideas or projects. Mostly they're lost. So here, for example, the comprehension is about comprehending the insights of our projects. And here, a very good example is we sent some students out there in the field and said, why don't people use solar ovens for cooking when there's so much sun outside? And a very simple solution is inconvenient to use. People don't want to go into the sun and put their utensil to cook. And of course, there's other inconveniences. So here, for example, with one small solution, one good idea, one good insight, you come up with a window-mounted solar oven. So this project is now available for, like startup. So we're just going in a big way. Very, very happy to mention that the largest vendor in the country is ready to produce it. And the largest, one of the largest consumer good product, the TTK, Mr. Jagannath, again, an IIT Madras alumnus, has said that he would do all the marketing. And, and then we came up with some interesting insights after we produce the product. I'll show you after the film.
The Design Innovation Center at IIT Bombay supports the best design minds in the country to conceptualize, prototype, test, and ultimately produce innovative products which will enrich our lives. Our student, Avinash, found out that the conventional box-type solar cooker is very inconvenient to use. He came up with this new design of window-mounted oven where one can operate the oven from indoors. We receive ample sunlight in our country, and the solar oven takes us a step closer towards a sustainable lifestyle. This versatile solar cooker with zero maintenance can easily recover its cost in a span of 3 to 4 years. The multiple advantages of our solar oven are that it cooks for free, it cooks nutritious food, and the food is tastier.
As an athlete, I always have to perform at my peak. The key is to be dedicated to the idea of fitness. That also means I need to watch what I feed my body.
LPG की सब्सिडी काफी कम लोगों को दिया जाती है. इसी वजह से खाना बनाना काफी महंगा हो रहा है. आजकल मैं सारा खाना सोलर ओवन पे ही बना लेती हूँ. तड़का बिड़का गैस पर लगा लेती हूँ.
The solar cooker uses renewable energy of the sun and therefore conserves fossil fuels. We have cooked rice, we have cooked millets, various kinds of curries, vegetables, khichdi, and things like that.
Because of lower temperature, the nutrients in a food are more stable compared to other methods of cooking.
The cooking is done in the juices of the food itself, and all this contributes to better retention of fragrance and a tastier product at the end.
Fabulous. The solar oven has gone through many stages of evolution, from a design idea to pilot production. We did multiple tests to improve the efficiency of the solar oven. Thanks to the collaborative efforts of our Design Innovation Center team and the professors at IIT Bombay, we are at the verge of delivering this amazing product from our drawing boards to your homes.
So in fact, after this interesting thing happened, that when this is mounted on the window of a house, you have a small heat exchanger there with a small fan, and the temperature of the house, it's become a room heater. So in fact, it works for 7 hours as a room heater and 1 hour as a cooker. So in fact, this became a very, very big insight for all the areas, in Delhi and other places where it's cold. And, and they were saying that if the product bill of material cost is just 4,000, it can be very easily, taken care and, taken forward. So this, we are, incubating, trying to incubate this product in a sign and take it forward. And of course, the professors from material science do coatings, professors from energy science, Mr. Modi works on all the calculations of how the whole, heat circulation happens. It's a very, very simple process of polycarbonate shells and greenhouse effect. And actually we are very lucky that we have professors in material science from BRC, and other locations coming and visiting, and they're making a special plant for the coatings inside for the black body, which actually improves efficiencies drastically. And of course, this is the final model for tooling, and this is the final sketch. So then the fourth C, which is again very, very challenging wicked problem we worked out, was the check, because you may do all, you may go to the context, you may understand the, you get the insights and you are standing for a cause, but you don't have the clear journey map. So we say that, the check or the checklist of where to go, what to go is very important. For this, we have a great example of how we built the Palki for Vaishnavdevi. This Palki has come out of collaborative efforts of multiple departments. This video is very, clearly demonstrating that.
Our role in this project was to do a very good user study, understand the needs of the porters very, very closely, and come up with designs which will help them to reduce the drudgery.
In fact, all those designs failed, and this is the final one. After 7, we could, come up with the final one, after multiple user tests and trials. And it's all built in the studio.
While IDC put up a design, we came up with ergonomic studies, their biomechanics system, where the load is coming. We found the shoulder and back were 2 areas where the lower back is 2 areas where load was very heavy.
The final design was lightweight and robust. We could reduce the weight to 34 kilos from around 50 to 54 kilos, and this made a large impact on the comfort of the porters. At the same time, we were very focused on the structural analysis of the Palki, and we conducted the analysis that we managed to maintain very good structural stability and structural integrity in the design, so that the Palki can last long and it can be very safe.
So here again, we had professors from our understanding all the needs and culture, porters' habits, like various studies, and then multiple prototypes, and then mass production with Jindal. And we have 100, and this is again the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office, having the experts sitting over here from BRC, UDCT, and all. So these review programs are very, very effective in taking projects to innovation. And finally, the porters, in IIT Bombay, testing it in our premises, and of course, 100 Palkis distributed to, very, very happy. And nobody has done anything for the porters till now. They're extremely thrilled, and the governor distributed them. And now there's no failure of any of the Palkis in Vaishnavdevi, and it's been doing very well. Now they're asking for another 400 more. So most probably they'll manufacture and take it forward. And here now, I'll little speed up because I'm really running out of time. I want to show the Dandi Memorial, which is our last project, which is very phenomenal. I have 2 videos over there for 2 minutes. So I will quickly rush through the idea generation, which is all known, right? You need to build ideas, whether it is whatever idea, you need to put it in paper. That putting it in paper is the most critical thing. I have all these, detailed videos on my YouTube site. So I will share everything through Rishi to all of you. So here I'll rush a little bit on this wonderful project, which is the, letterbox. It's such a simple, small box, but it's the most complex, endeavor to take it to innovation. Through the ministry, through the manufacturing, through the tendering, and very interesting journey, and how we failed, in this process so we came up with this wonderful ideas, and then we, sort of built the, last prototype, and then, the ideas, and from the ideas we went to the crafting, which is the 6th C. One is idea sketching, then the crafting, and in the crafting, you make small mock-ups and small models. Very, very important to quickly understand what the form looks like, build prototypes, take approvals from the ministry. Here we went till the secretary level and the minister level to finally get the approvals. And then, of course, build prototypes with the best contemporary machines. And then here we actually made a pilot of 30 numbers. And when we made first pilot of 5, great success because it was all the city. Next pilot of 200 numbers went into all the rural areas, and nobody could recognize this as a letterbox. They thought it was a dustbin. That's a big shock of a life because newspapers wrote gaga stories about it and everybody was so happy. And then finally we fell flat on our face, and then we had to go back to our drawing board. And that's very important journey in our design thinking, that you have to be iterative in your process. You have to, the 7 C's are not linear. They go back and forth in multiple ways. And of course, we did forget that, the city is only 10 or 5% of the total population. And then, we redesigned the box. And of course, we have our secretary MHRD appreciating this as part of our design innovation center. And the PM was extremely happy to see this, box, which is also a totem pole for India Post. It's just not for posting letters. It's also a symbol of, the presence of the postal department on the streets of our country. So, and it's a great learning case study for innovation for our students. So I come to my last C, which is the connection, which is the most important in design thinking, where you build mock-up, you connect with the user. You build sketches, you go and show it to the users or the end users. You make working rigs, you test with the people. You make prototypes, you go to the people to check your prototypes. So this go-to connection is extremely, extremely critical in our journey. And here, for example, I want to show you one very, very good example where we actually worked with 25 professors from IIT Bombay to build a national memorial for Gandhiji, which is the Dandi Memorial. It's unsung heroes, the marchers, 81 marchers who went, on this trip are unsung. So, very, very glad that we could take this up, and the PM inaugurated this also. And, I'll quickly show this 2-minute film. And it's a collaborative innovation across
the
departments.
Dandi Memorial Project first came to IIT Bombay for some advice on how to build the solar energy component of the project. It was realized that there were many other areas of expertise which could contribute to the memorial itself. IIT Bombay was given the responsibility for being the design coordinating agency for the Dandi Memorial Project. And this whole effort was led by Professor Kirti Trivedi of our Industrial Design Center to actually take inputs from a wide variety of people and to come up with a final design for the memorial. The Dandi Memorial Project turned out to be a great collaborative experience for many of our departments in the institute. We had professors from civil engineering, looking both at structures as well as geotechnical aspects. We had the Industrial Design Center, of course, doing all the artwork. We had professors from physics talking about lasers. We had professors from material sciences to try and decide on things like corrosion. And then, of course, we had people from earth sciences to advise us on what kind of stones and so forth that could be used. I think that this memorial and the association of IIT Bombay will be a matter of pride for faculty and students of IIT Bombay for all years to come. And we're very happy that we got this opportunity to work on this project.
In fact, this now, this project is already 4 years old, and we got huge. In fact, we have around on the weekend there are 8,000 visitors to this memorial, and every aspect of this memorial is built by IIT Bombay, faculties, and I was the principal investigator for 3 years during the project which was built. And we have this wonderful arms of duplex stainless steel next to the sea, holding this crystal of salt which is made of 2 meters glass, and the design by again Professor Goyal from civil engineering, giving me the inputs on strength and materials, and I conceived all the all the design aspects of how they will be put together and how they would be installed. Till the last stage of installation, we were on the crane to install this glass on the top. These solar trees are my favorite, where we built, and then the PM actually said that we should have trees, solar trees, across all institutes. So these are, generating power. And we actually have, we're not just net zero now, we actually give back power to the grid from this memorial, because we were so careful in planning all the LED lights and, the facilities around. And of course, the special design with metaphors of trees coming in, and our silicon bronze statues, which were done in clay in IIT Bombay. After clay, we converted them into FRP. We sent them to Jaipur for casting in the lost wax process. And my animation professors would go every week to see whether the legs are straight or not, whether the walking gait is okay. And we then, got the design okay. And of course, we have the murals, which we, collaborated with JNFAU to, across the pathway where the whole monument goes forward. And, and this is my final, I think, 30-second video on now how the memorial, looks. Actually tell the stories on the days of their march. So each of them, where all they went. All the inspiration was from all the Sabarmati ashram and other ashrams and locations. Those are the laser lights of Usakundu. Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. And sorry to, take a little bit more time than allotted, 10 more minutes. And that's done. Yeah.
No, so Chakku, this was phenomenal. I mean, this was so eye-opening that all of us are excited that our students will make a big impact in the next 30, 40 years based on the design thinking lesson they will be learning at IIT. We can have a few questions. Maybe I'll start. Oh, there is I think Niharika has a question.
I have a comment. So, Professor Chakravarthy, it was a great session, wonderful. And you were in L&T Powai from 88 to 94. I joined in 94, and they shared the success story of Z-shaped petrol pump. And L&T was really proud of it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Niharika. Anybody else that has a comment or question?
This method of iterative reaction with the market is something which is proposed by the guru of startups here, Professor Steve Blank of Stanford University.
Yeah.
He writes a book, Steve, and he says continuously take feedback is much cheaper than actually building a whole product and wasting your time.
Exactly. Very true. In fact, I think Steve had come to IIT Bombay also for that entrepreneurship course.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Thanks, Manushi. Yeah, very true. It really helps because even for my petrol pump, like when I made thermocol petrol pumps in L&T, and all my colleagues were laughing at me because it looks funny, right, to make a thermocol petrol pump. But then when the comments came from all the vice presidents and everybody of what would go wrong, what would come correct, we could actually, like cut down the product development time. L&T never heard that they could build a product in 1.5 years, and we built that petrol pump in 1.5 years. Early, it was 6 years life cycle. Because they would never make mock-ups. They would always go directly with prototypes. And changing a prototype will take so much more time.
So just a comment, in Silicon Valley, we talk about the value of death in the startup journey. And you're typically familiar with just one valley. So it looks like there are 3 of them.
There are 4. If you take research also, there's one more. Research to mock-up to, like that research value is very deep.
There you go, 4 of them.
Very true. Yeah. In fact, when for my online courses, I have a lot of colleagues who are coming from CSIR labs, and they say, oh, now I know where my product is, where my technology is. Because when we know where we are, then we have to put in the right measures, even in the startup journey, to take it to the next level. So biggest thing, Manishi, in the startup journey is people, when they do pilot, they think they've done everything. They don't go to mass at all, and they lose out over there. The product, generally can't. The cost and everything doesn't match the level of mass production, and most of our startups get stuck in that pilot lot, and they're not taking things forward.
So there are some comments, Chakku. Radha, Dipti, and Ishita really appreciate the session. They think it's a phenomenal session.
Thank you.
Yogendra has a question that is relatively similar to what I was going to ask. So first, let me read what he said. He says, hello, sir, how design will change India in the next coming decades, and how non-IIT students can learn more with IDC?
Very true. In fact, Yogen, that was the biggest thing for us, that we want to impact, more number of students. So we started this open design school, and we already have 95,000 students enrolled, and they all go through this process and they get certification for free. And the portal is called Swayam Portal. It's built by Microsoft. And this portal, and now we are also putting up on our YouTube. So we want to really make it open. If somebody doesn't want to go through the whole course, they can just go to see how things can happen. And today, for example, we are because of the design innovation centers in every institute, the startup ecosystem, the entrepreneurship, activities happening. We are very, very, open now to support across the institutes. For example, some of our colleagues now support all engineering colleges in Maharashtra, Milne, Sony, and other people. And I have my design innovation studio team is sitting in Vidarbha area and working with engineering colleges over there. So we're really now very open, and we want to really spread this out in a very, very big way. And it's happening thanks to technology and, online aspects. We're able to, achieve some part of it, but we want to do more. It's always, falling short. And, like Anil was mentioning that, if we can, leverage our alumni strength, like Vanishi also was saying, we can really do well. And, one good thing is our Wheels Foundation, the way they are moving across, and, the recent program which was done. And we all also, getting onto the Wheels Foundation to make the wheels roll.
Yeah, Pan IIT today is over 450,000 members globally. So it's a massive movement. IIT startups itself is several hundred now. So it's on a roll. So we've got the momentum, and in Silicon Valley there are over 15,000 IITians.
Yeah. It's
phenomenal. So I have a similar.
We didn't have our design class, so I think we can go back to the open design school and take that class now, since we missed that. I think it would be a good idea for all the startups to also founders to do that.
Yeah, Rishi, I have something broader in a very, very similar context. So Chakku, based on the presentation, if some of us get excited about IDC and the offerings there, I noticed that there are many senior managers, mid-level managers in the audience, and who knows who else will see the video. If we want to engage IDC for either consultancy for the work that we do in the Valley, or if we want to get our teams trained by IDC, is that a feasible option? I mean, is there a way we can do this?
Yeah, for sure. It'll be now very, very open for these activities. We have in a whole dean sitting over there for continuing education. If there's training and special programs need to be done, also we can also especially open up our studio where like recently when our alumni came for their Golden Jubilee, we actually put up an exhibition, and a lot of them have pledged support for activity, as well as also requested for support for consulting and other activities from the studio. We'll surely support on that front, and also facilitate wherever whatever is needed from that point. And another very important thing I want to mention here, Anil, that our students, for example, if they can work on live projects, and today it's possible that our students are working on live projects, which are your problems, which you want to, get a fresh idea. We are really, taking that up very seriously, and motivating the students to take up those projects too.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you, Chakku, is now it's a global economy. So the students that you are educating at IIT, all IITs, not just IIT Bombay, they will be designing and building and selling products, not just for Indian market, but global market.
Very true.
So how can IDC remain relevant globally, not just for India?
That's a very, very, good question, and very challenging question too. The biggest challenge is we now, for example, during this trip itself, our alumni are in, Apple, some of them are in Google. I visited most of them. Learning back, for example, we professors also need to, do design thinking and actually check up with alumni who are already working on very, very good practices outside, learn from that, and then leverage that learning to, again, teach. So there's a lot of these very important teacher training which is needed very, very badly, because we really get stuck. Like if we don't move out. When I was in L&T, within those 6 years, I had 2 training programs, and now when I'm in IIT, for example, there's no organized training, and those are very important things. If you're to be in a global area, and of course understand the global perspective, you need to really be really upfront in those fronts. So we would, of course, like, thanks to all the alumni, we would use your strengths to actually like give back to us what we don't know, and of the real market, real situation, real activities. And somehow we need to maybe I'll tell my dean of leverage that aspect of learning back from the alumni.